Imagine you're 65 years old with a $2.5 million portfolio. You're probably pretty sure you can retire, but you might not have a great idea of how much you can actually spend when you do. That's the situation today's couple finds themselves in. They've been so focused on saving and investing and growing wealth that they haven't really taken the time to think, can we retire? And when we do, what does our lifestyle actually look like based upon what we can spend at that point? That's why in today's video, we're going to jump into Rick and Sue's actual financial plan, so we can reveal some of the unknowns of retirement planning and show to them in very clear terms exactly how much they can spend and what strategies exist for their retirement. So let's jump in, and as we do, keep this in mind. Whether you have $2.5 million in your portfolio or some entirely different amount, the principles that we're going to walk through today are what actually matter. So don't get too caught up on the numbers, focus more on the steps we go through so you can apply these principles to your own situation. So let's jump in, and as we start to pull back the curtain on an actual client situation, understand that the names are changed, the numbers have been simplified, but this is the actual process we went through to help them answer those questions. Can we retire? How much can we spend? What are some of the planning strategies available to us to make the most of retirement? And that's exactly what we wanted to show Rick and Sue when they came to us. So here's Rick and Sue. As you can see, they're both 65 years old. Their net worth is about $3.4 million. Of that, about $2.5 million is in investment accounts. Rick has his 401k, his IRA, and his Roth IRA. Sue on her end has her 401k and her Roth IRA. And then the joint assets they hold, they both have a checking and savings account. They have their trust. And then they have their home with a tiny mortgage. Their mortgage is just about paid off, but not quite yet. They came to us wanting to retire. Now, one of the first things that we ask when people want to retire is we want to know, well, what are your goals? What do you want to spend in retirement? What do you want life to look like? Now, Rick and Sue, they're very busy people. They're busy with their jobs. They're busy with their families. They're busy with everything going on. They really hadn't ever taken the time and sat down and said, what would we actually spend in retirement? So we said, Rick and Sue, let's just start with this. What are you spending today? And as we go through this plan, understand this is a rough draft. When someone comes to us, the goal isn't to put the perfect plan in place, step one. It's let's start with what we know. Let's see where there might be some areas of improvement, and let's refine until we get you to a position where you've got a perfect plan in place to implement your retirement goals. Well, Rick and Sue, they're a little overwhelmed even asking about a budget and how much do we spend. They didn't know. So they said, well, we probably spend about $16,000 today every single month. Now, I knew right away that $16,000 probably wasn't going to be the exact same in retirement as it was today, but I said, let's just start there. It was clearly a little overwhelming to think about spending, so I said, let's start there and see what this looks like, and then we can refine. Now, typically we'd add other things in like travel, healthcare, long-term care. I'm just assuming nothing for travel right now. I'm assuming the full $16,000 covers their lifestyle because they just want to maintain what they're currently doing today. What I am doing though for Rick and Sue is I'm adding in an amount for healthcare. They're already Medicare age, so we don't have to factor in any pre-Medicare costs. But what I did want to do is add an additional $4,500 per year of out-of-pocket costs in addition to their Medicare Part B and Part D premiums. So I said, Rick and Sue, let's just start with this. Can you spend $16,000 per month? I'm going to add in some healthcare costs. And then they also wanted to add in some long-term care costs. That was a big concern of theirs. So what we looked at is the in-home care national average is about $60,000 per year for long-term care. And we're showing that for the last 2 years of each of their lives. So that's going to be an expense that we're planning for. The income that they have, so they have a combined income of about $300,000 today. And in retirement, they would have Social Security. Rick, we plan on his Social Security benefit at age 70. His full retirement age benefit is $3,800, but that would go up because he waits till 70. And then for Sue, what we're planning for is she was going to take her benefit right away. Her full retirement age benefit, so age 67, was $3,000, so she'd be taking a little bit of a deduction to take early. We wanted some cash flow today while maximizing another benefit for the future. The next thing we started to talk to with Rick and Sue is we said, well, how much are you currently saving for retirement? I know that we're planning on you retiring today, but if we come back and say, what if you work another year or 2 years or 3 years? What does that look like? Well, Rick's currently contributing 12% to his 401k and getting a 3% match, so 15% total. Sue is currently contributing 11% to her 401k. She gets a 100% match on the first 3% and then a 50% match on the next 2%, so a total of a 4% match. So between her 11 and the company's 4, she is doing 15% combined as well. And they're also saving $2,500 per month just to their joint trust account. So $30,000 per year. So that gives us a snapshot of where they are. What are their assets? What are they saving? What are their goals? And what are their income sources, both today and in retirement? The next thing that we want to do is model out their cash flows for them to see what might this look like over the course of your retirement. So that's what we're doing on this page here. Now, keep in mind, this is the rough draft. I'm just taking the $16,000 per month that they gave me of saying that's how much we want to spend, and I'm projecting that throughout retirement. Now, spoiler alert, $16,000, I knew pretty clearly that's probably not what they were actually going to spend in retirement, but before telling them that and before going through that, I wanted to illustrate some of these things because that's what they were telling me that they wanted to spend. So let's walk through this. In retirement, if they retire now, here's what their income would be. They'd have Social Security, and Sue's benefit would start immediately, but Rick's benefit wouldn't start until his age 70. So they've got strong income from Social Security, but it doesn't fully come into play until 2029. Those are their income flows. Now we want to compare that to their expenses. Their expenses, and again, we're just keeping it really simple, $16,000 per month, so $192,000 per year. That's what they want to live on, and we're going to increase that with inflation over time. So that's exactly what we're seeing here in this column, and this is just the inflation adjustment on those numbers all the way throughout retirement. Now, we also need a plan for healthcare, so we're adding an additional cost for healthcare, and then one more year of paying down the mortgage. So the mortgage was almost paid off, they'll pay that this year, and then it will be gone. So those are their expenses, and then finally, we have to assume a tax payment on top of that. So because they'd be pulling money from their joint account first, their tax payment would be relatively low those first few years because they could support all of this and wouldn't have to take money from their IRAs quite yet. That being said, here's their total expenses every single year that we're projecting. When we compare their total expenses to their total income, we see their net flows. Their net flows, that tells us what role does their portfolio play in this whole thing. How much income does their portfolio need to generate in order for them to be able to supplement their income, create these outflows so they can pay taxes and have enough left over to pay healthcare, their mortgage in that first year, and then have $16,000 per month going forward. Now, here was my concern is I said, look, Rick and Sue, you're going to be pulling $210,000 out of your portfolio. You have about $2.5 million in your portfolio. That's going to represent a pretty high withdrawal rate. To show them exactly how high, I went to this page here. So your withdrawal rate starts at about 7.7%, but that's just going to continue over time. That's just going to continue over time because if we assume that your investments are growing at 6.5% per year on average, and you're taking 7.5% or more, you're dipping into your portfolio value each year. So your portfolio value is actually declining as your expenses are growing. Your expenses are growing because inflation is taking them higher every single year. So that's not a good combination. Declining portfolio with rising expenses means that withdrawal rate actually continues to increase every single year to the point that by age 85 or so, they're projected to be out of money. So this is what it's probably going to look like based upon the projection we just ran. Here's your $2.5 million today. You take all this money out to maintain current lifestyle, and what you see is by the age of 85, you're about out of money, or you are out of money. And you still have your home, you still have Social Security, but you don't have any portfolio left. Now, you do have some options, and we walked through this. I said, look, what if you worked longer? You could work, and let's show age 68. What if you worked till age 68? What would that do for you? Well, in that case, your portfolio does last longer, but you just barely get to age 95. And in fact, if we run a Monte Carlo analysis or probability of success, the first plan had a 5% probability of success. So very, very little chance that this is going to work. You'd have to have incredible markets the whole time in your retirement. The proposed plan is still just a 34% probability of success. Not great. We could increase this to age 70. What if both of you work until age 70? And hey, by the way, as we're looking through this, a lot of you reach out and say, hey, is there access to this software? This is software that we license as financial advisors and all of our clients have access to. If you're not a client and want access, I'm going to include a link below to Retirement Planning Academy. It's kind of an online course that I created to walk you through the framework that you should walk through to create your retirement plan. And it comes with lifetime access to this software, which is called Right Capital. So in the link, if you want access, check that out and you can get that below. But as we're doing this for Rick and Sue, age 70 is what we're looking at. So what if they worked until age 70? How does that change things? Well, now what we're looking at is, okay, this looks a lot better, but that requires they work 5 more years. And Rick and Sue are a little burned out. They came to us because they said, look, we know we need to retire. We want to think about this. We're so busy with work and with life and all these things, it's difficult to find the time to actually plan for this. So this is where I said, Rick and Sue, I think I've got some good news for you. And let me show you what I mean by that. Here's what that good news looks like. So it said, Rick and Sue, thank you for sending over some of your statements and what you're spending. We had a chance to do a little bit of an analysis on that. And here's what you gave us. You said, yeah, we're spending $16,000 per month, James, so that's what we want to plan for. Well, here's those numbers, and I've simplified them a little bit between mortgage and property taxes and charitable giving and investing and vacation. All of these numbers, if you look at them, they add up to that $16,000 per month. So they hadn't taken a whole lot of time to look at these numbers, but they just said $16,000 per month is what we want to plan for. Here's the thing though, a lot of these numbers are going to change in retirement. So what I did is I ran a comparison. I said, which of these numbers will change in retirement? If there's red, it means this number is going down. And if it's green, it means this number is going up. Well, first and foremost, mortgage, that's an expense that's going to go away very quickly in retirement. So that's $3,500. This is just the principal and interest that they're paying. That's $3,500 that you're paying today that we don't have to pay in retirement without it actually impacting your lifestyle at all. The next is property taxes. Well, that's going to continue. Even when the mortgage is paid off, you still have property taxes. The next is charitable giving. Now, they would tithe and do a lot of charitable giving, and this was a percentage of their income. So we said, Rick, Sue, if your income changed, do you think that percentage would stay the same, but the actual amount that you give would change with it? They said, yeah, James, now that we think about it, yeah, of course, that would go down if our income is going down. So we said, let's adjust that down to where income might be. I adjust that to $870. The next is investing. And they're saving a pretty significant amount. That's in their budget today. But when you're in retirement, you no longer need to save for retirement. You're already there. So I said, what if we removed this line item from your budget? The next is travel. I actually said, Rick, so you're saving a good amount or you're spending a good amount on travel today. You got $24,000 per year that you're budgeting. What if I just bump that up a little bit? Let's bump that to $30,000. Let's just see if we can spend more than we're even spending today. So I increase that number in their budget. All these next expenses here with no colors, these just stayed the same. You're still going to have the gym, utilities, insurance, etc., except for insurance for life insurance and disability. So look, you're self-insured at this point. And I went through another analysis to show them that. You don't need these insurance policies for life and for disability. So these are expenses we can get rid of. Health insurance, I'm going to add in an additional cost for you here. And then all these others, let's just assume these stay the same. Now take a look at what happened. When we look at this, now their expenses, by the way, we didn't change lifestyle. In fact, we increased lifestyle because we added more to their vacation budget. But we dropped down how much they're budgeting for saving. We removed the mortgage. We changed the charitable giving to keep it at a percentage of income, but income's going down. Now they only need $8,700 per month instead of the $16,000 per month we previously planned for. If we exclude travel and health insurance from this, and I'll show you why in a second, it's only $5,500 per month that they're actually spending. So let's take a look at that. How would these numbers change from the projections that we just looked at? Well, if we go down here, I'm going to say, Rick and Sue, I'm going to get rid of you working until age 70. I don't think you'll actually have to do that. The good news is we have other options. So let's reduce that down and put that back to where we were. So we're back to the base case scenario of you running out of money at age 85. But you running out of money at age 85 was based on monthly expenses of $16,000 per month. What we actually see is those are closer to $5,500 per month of core monthly expenses. So again, excluding travel and excluding health insurance. Why do I exclude those? Well, because I've already included health insurance as a different line item. So it's already included in here and I don't want to double count it. But number two, travel, the travel that we're counting on here, $30,000 per year, they're not going to do that forever. They're going to do that for the first 10 to 15 years of retirement. And I've already programmed that in here. So we're going to show that for the first while, but then that number drops off. So if we now look at these numbers of reducing the basic expenses, increasing travel, how does that look? Now all of a sudden, it's an entirely different story. This is when the burden dropped from Rick and Sue's shoulders of, James, that makes complete sense. It's so logical to go through it that way. We just sometimes haven't taken the time to go through this because retirement planning can be so overwhelming. But here's the good news, is Rick and Sue, not only can you retire today with a very high probability of success, let's dream about what that retirement could look like. Are there other things that you want to do? Do you want to spend more in retirement that you're actually spending today? And when I say more, I don't necessarily mean more as a dollar amount. I mean more as a percentage of core expenses. Because today you are spending more on mortgage and saving and some of these other things that are going to go away in retirement. But the actual things that contribute to your well-being, the travel, the entertainment, the giving. Those are the types of things that we can increase. And even if you increase those above and beyond what you're spending today, you're still in a wonderful position to make this happen. Now, by the way, I'd love to know from you, is this helpful to see? Make sure that you subscribe, because every week we like to release a video like this, where we like to show case studies of showing what actual clients went through and some of those aha moments or some of those planning points that changed everything for them. So if this is helpful, let me know in the comments and make sure that you've subscribed so you can be notified every time we release new videos just like this. So here is the takeaways for Rick and Sue. Is by simply projecting the right numbers as opposed to just the numbers they thought they needed to live on, what we could see is it changed their retirement picture dramatically. Their retirement is a reality today. Not only was it reality today, but now we could start working through ways to even enhance it. Could we implement a Roth conversion strategy over the next number of years to minimize our lifetime tax liability? Could we use a qualified charitable distribution strategy to gift to their charity and church in a way that didn't cost them as much in taxes? Most importantly though, could we now start dreaming about what's actually possible in retirement? They could support more than their current lifestyle. Now, whether this meant more travel, more gifting, more life, there's a lot more that they could do because of a plan that was based upon accurate numbers. So the takeaway for so many people is they run projections, but aren't necessarily using the right information. Good planning really starts with a clear understanding of what do you want retirement to actually look like and what expenses are needed, what income is needed to make that all happen. Now, you might be watching this and saying, hey, that might be me. I'm in this position where I feel like I've saved enough for retirement. I just don't maybe plan on the accurate amounts going forward. And once you plan on those accurate amounts, you may very clearly see that you're in a position to retire. Well, if that's you, I made this video right here. And this video shows you 5 reasons it's probably time for you to retire right now. Make sure you watch that video, because when you see it, you'll start to realize that there's a great risk to continuing to work well past the time that you actually have to. Once again, I'm James Knoll, founder of Root Financial, and if you're interested in seeing how we help our clients at Root Financial get the most out of life with their money, be sure to visit us at www.rootfinancialpartners.com.